And also that these problems can be found in city after city across this nation, including New York, as we saw in the following Washington Heights explosions. For these reasons, I decided to pay a 3-day visit to Los Angeles and see if I could come up with some insights that might be useful to our viewing area back east. I talked with gang members in the Watts area. I talked with several who have been longtime observers of the Los Angeles urban scene. And I talked with former super athlete and actor Jim Brown, who has been working closely with gang members and other elements of the Los Angeles community. Our multiple-part report will begin right after this. My first stop upon arrival in L.A. was the Hollywood home of former football immortal and actor Jim Brown, whose spectacular home rests atop a hill overlooking the city. A winding drive up the side of the mountain got us there. Jim has been working with the disenfranchised in Los Angeles for years and was well aware that the tensions were so great that something was bound to give. Jim has created an organization called Amer-I-Can, A-M-E-R-I-C-A-N, which motivates young men to redirect their lives into positive directions. 2 former gang members were in Jim's living room waiting to talk with me, one of whom, Daoud, is credited with forging the truce between the Crips and the Bloods, those 2 gangs that had been blowing each other away for years in deadly gun battles. Daoud is 24 years old, and he himself was involved in a gang at one time.
What happened to Rodney King? What was the response out in the street, as far as you could discern, when the tape started to be broadcast?
Well, that was a breakthrough, and it was to open up the door for many individuals to find out, you know, in this outer world don't understand what's going down in these inner cities, that what takes place. You know, I mean, as far as in, that happened every day. Things
So
like
it's
that.
nothing new?
That's not nothing new.
So you really weren't shocked or anything like that, except for the fact that it had been captured on tape?
That's the only thing. Exactly.
Did you think that the police were going to get off Hussein?
Halfway, yeah. They get off every day. I wasn't doubting it.
You're
It
kidding
was about
me.
a 50-50 chance,
Even though they captured it on tape?
even though.
Are you
I was
just telling me
That
because
was my
now...
personal feeling. Personally, I felt it was a 50-50 chance. Just on the string that been going on.
Everybody, as far as I'm aware, felt that at least this time, because it was captured on videotape, even though it's been happening for a long time, because it was on tape and it was so obvious that there was going to be a conviction. How can you tell me that you really thought it wasn't going to happen?
Personal experience and just living, you know what I'm saying, in the inner city, just growing up, the things that I see. It wasn't a big old, you know, I wasn't shocked a bit.
Well, tell me a little bit about what you were before you got involved with Jim Brown. What kind of a dude were you?
Well, basically, I'm saying, I wasn't conscious of myself.
What were you doing?
What was I doing? I did a little bit of all the negative above.
You got to help me and be specific. I don't want you to get arrested by what you tell me, but I want you to tell me what you...
No, I'm not going to tell you none of that, so get me arrested about it. No, I don't do it like that. But, you know, I ran in the gangs, different like that. I don't feel it's nothing big. I don't brag on it, nothing like that, because it really don't mean nothing. But,
Were you in the gang because you wanted to or because you had to?
let me strike that gang thing, because I really don't look at the gang thing as really a gang. I look at it as a family. You know, brothers that I grew up with, you know, and it wasn't too much, it wasn't a mother and father in the household, so the majority of my love came from my homeboys that I grew up with. You know, if I needed a haircut, I could go to his house and get a haircut. If I needed something to eat, I could go to his house and get something to eat. So it was basically a family thing. But the system put this gang thing on. It was like, there are gangs down there. It's not like that.
I was a part of the neighborhood, you know, what they so-called call gangs, because that was my environment that I basically grew up around. And like you said, broken home families and lack of father, with a lack of father leadership, you know, I mean, we had to grow up with the streets. The streets had to train us and be our fathers. And since our older homeboys was there for us, they supported us, they respected us, they loved us. I mean, that's our leadership.
Well, you know, a lot of people in the community say, I'm tired of us being depicted as young men who come up with families where there is no positive male image.
Mm-hmm.
And yet here I am again with the same thing. No positive male image in your formative years. Same with you, Hussein. Is that really the norm or what? Or is it...
That's just a symptom of a problem.
Symptom.
It's just a symptom, like say, political corruption, racism, gang killings, destruction of our education. All those just symptoms of a deep-rooted problem that's in the minds of the individuals. And what the program teaches us, it teaches us that the real problem is in the minds. Until you change the mindset, then you'll be able to change the action. And primary needs is at stake in every inner city neighborhood that we basically live in. You know, primary needs.
Be patient with me now. I just want to get a clear understanding. There was no father.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to your father?
Well,
did you ever meet him? Or did you ever find out what happened to him or why he wasn't on the scene?
Yes, I understand. I mean, I talk to my father all the time. You know, I talk to my father every time I get an opportunity to, but my father is a hard-working man, and he's too busy working trying to supply certain needs for his other family. So you have broken families. You know, we're just the ones that's disenfranchised. I mean, you know, every parent has their personal problems.
So they just couldn't cut it together.
That's right.
Is that the same thing with you, Hussein?
Yeah, exactly.
Your mother and father just couldn't get along together.
Yeah, it is.
How did you get involved then in this positive exercise? You were running with what everybody calls gangs, but you refer to as families. What made you decide to look for an alternative?
Was this positive or for us?
Positive alternative, yeah.
Well, to create a better environment for our mothers, you know, to create an economic structure for the children, the future generation to come. I mean, to basically empower ourselves so we can be responsible for our own self-determination.
But you articulate this very clearly now.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you were thinking then?
That's what I was thinking. That's what I was trying to say. But without
the words,
without the training, without the skills, I mean, you just be philosophizing. The white man, you just picking on the symptoms and not dealing with the grassroots problem. So you just be philosophizing. You know, the white man did this, the white man did this, the white man. And even though he have done that, but we gotta go beyond that and start saying what could we do to make the system work for us instead of waiting for people to be always dependent, you know, always doing things for us. That's what we totally dependent, and we consider consumers, where we just don't even think. We just react without even thinking.
You haven't told me how you came across Jim Brown.
Well, I came across Jim Brown through when Mr. Louis Farrakhan came to town back in '89 with Stop the Killing. And we had a gathering probably over 500-600 brothers up here, and we was trying to come together with a dialogue where we could say, let's stop the killing. Then we had several meetings, but unfortunately we was not able to do that because there was nothing, there was no communication. There's still, I mean, people, it was nothing we could go off of. It was nothing solid. So, you know,
Was Jim at that rally?
Yes, Jim was at that rally.
And you heard him speak?
I didn't hear him speak. Jim never spoke at the rally. He never spoke at the rally. What drew me to Jim was Jim's ability to invest into us. I mean, a father figure. You know, we came to Jim with a proposal that we started.
Hold on, wait a minute. If he didn't speak, what made you single him out and want to go to him with your problems? Because he was big and strong?
That's right.
That's it?
No.
A lot of big, strong cats out
well,
here.
I mean, it was a try.
And that big.
You know.
What was it?
It was just, I mean, we met him up here. You know, we was in his house and everything, and we were starting an organization, even though we had laid the foundation and did all that, but we're still struggling to try to keep it afloat.
So he invited you all up to his house?
No, we called him.
You called him?
We called him.
Was there something that he said that made you think that you could call him and he would pick up the phone?
No, we just called him.
Who's we?
Me, my little brother Hussein, his brother named Donnie, Dwight, his other sister named Cindy, and his other sister named Renee. We called them because we had our organization set up and we couldn't pay the rent.
It's interesting. Hussein, what made you think that Jim Brown might have an answer, since he didn't say anything at this rally and you didn't know him?
I think I heard him communicating on some off channel one time. He was talking.
Oh.
So that kind of like
What
made
did
me
he
want to see what he really was about.
I see. What did he
And you know
say?
what I'm saying?
He
I
said
don't even
something-
remember exactly.
But it
I
was
don't remember
positive.
exactly. It was something that kind of like touched me. You know, something like, man, this brother real, like, you know, let me just see what he really about. So we communicated and, you know, talked about how we go approaching, because we didn't want to just come with give me. It was like, we're doing this here because you help us. You know, he was willing to, you know what I'm saying, give us that extra hand, like.
So you called him and you came out here to his house?
Yes.
And what happened? You remember that first time you came out here?
It's been a while. It's been 89. We've been doing so much. I can't even just go straight back to the and say, oh, well, he said this and that, and I said.
No, but what was it like? I mean, you know, was it tense, or did you open up right away, or?
No, I basically just observed, you know, just
laid back and watched him.
Yeah.
One of our key persons was Akila, my little brother, and he's been to school, so he was more articulate than us. So, you know, he was always our point man to open up for us to talk to anybody. We always put him on the podium and always talk. So when he came up here, he opened up everything with Jim while we just sat down and just observed.
What about Farrakhan? You mentioned that he was the one who really gave the speech.
Mm-hmm.
Did he inspire you to try to contact him? Of course, he doesn't live out here. But...
Well, before Farrakhan even came to town, we was already marching and trying to bring back the, before my knowledge of Farrakhan came back into existence, we was already marching in the neighborhoods and wondering why the Nation of Islam was not, you know, heavily involved in trying to solve some of these conflicts. So we was already, like Jim said, we was running from different organization to different organization, trying to get people to back us and bringing these 4 major project developments together.
Oh, so this had been building inside of you. You knew that things were not right, and you were looking for a way to stop what you saw.
That's right. That's right.
Why do you think that this has been going on between these so-called gangs or so-called families? This intense rivalry and hatred and brutality. Why is that?
A lack of a breakdown in communication and lack of understanding of what they're really doing, and basically it's like it's not a gang, it's not a rival, it's just a basic form of survival. You know, some people go out and create a conflict for themselves, and then since they is loved by many in this neighborhood without full knowledge, anything can happen because we just react. And if a person gets shot, instead of us doing our research and getting the full knowledge, them brothers over there did it because we got an enemy, and we never know who really. People never know who really did it. They just, it's just, you know, it's our ability just to react because we had enemies. People be drunk. I mean, it's a lot of things that play parts in that. It's not just let's go and attack them and hit them from the back. You know, that's not. I mean, an incident takes place and people don't know what's going on, and since you have an enemy, you'll think that enemy did it all the time. That person probably had nothing to do with it, but you going off your own negative, you know, past behavior conditions and things like that.
Do you think that's at the root of what most of these frictions are about? Just confusion and a whole lot of craziness as opposed to...
Socioeconomic problems, people problems and money problems. Bottom line, it's economics. Nothing else.
Well, wait a minute now. I've heard some people say that this is the only way that a young brother can get protection.
No.
This is the only, by being in a gang. This is the only way some brothers feel who are in the so-called quote-unquote ghetto feel that this is the only way they can get some respect. People will back up and give them some respect, have access to the ladies, have access to some money, is to hook up with a gang that's strong.
Back in the days that was, but now is basically yourself because you're isolated in a neighborhood when your own people is coming at you because they feel that you're rich. So that was a thing back in the days, you know, when you get that love, that respect, and that support. But coming up and, I mean, the big people was in jail, the hard people was dead, now it just left a lot of confusion.
And this revenge thing, it doesn't have any end. Because if I hurt you, and your buddy gets mad at me and hurts me, and then my buddy gets mad at him and gets back at him, And it's a ping pong that will never end, right?
Well, it's ended. And now it's basically the responsibility for your own self-determination, meaning that you understand the full range of your consequences when you go out there and get yourself into some. Most of the problems that we be facing within these inner-city communities is females. Brothers trying to impress females, you get mad, you want to fight over this female and bring your homeboys if you get beat up. But now, it's your responsibility. You understand your consequences. Ain't nobody finna go to get 27 years from you, for you, and nobody ain't finna go do no murder for you. I mean, if you start a problem, then you've got to be a man to stand up against that problem, because you understand the consequences that you was going to go against and when you went out and started it. So it's your responsibility now.
Just slipped something in here that I didn't hear before. You said that impressing the ladies is involved.
Yeah. See, a lot of problems out there. It's a lot of I mean, they gave us the title gangs. I mean, we've been doing this for years.
Who's saying? What are you going to say? No, I want to hear what you want to say about the ladies.
That's just one of the small problems. A lot of brothers feel like if this sister see me roll up at this brother and I beat him down, oh man, I got me a strong. You know, so that's just the way brothers think. Like some, you know, instead of like you say again, you know, lack of communication. Because if you're able to communicate, you can pull this sister. You know. But if I want to beat you down, you know, and then you got certain sisters I think on the same level, man, you know, so
they're attracted to that.
Yeah, exactly.
But some sisters say that they're turned off by that and try to stop brothers from doing that.
Some are. Yeah. Cause I'm not scared to express what I've done because I know I'm positive now. So I express that negative that I used to do and put it towards some positive things. You know, that's basically what I'm out doing every day, trying to help somebody if it's just one person.
How does that make you feel about yourself?
Man, it make me feel better than I felt at first. Because at first, you know, so it's like caught up in a maze. You know, staying in a low-income apartment with your parents or whatever, and not just putting everything on the parents, but growing up in the inner city, not having too many things. So after a while, it makes you start feeling like, damn, I ain't nobody. Like, damn, you know, do God always be like this? So the program opened all that up for me. So now I'm able to just straight deal with whatever. You know, the program brought all that out of me. At first, I was feeling like, because I didn't feel like there was really too much there at first.
Do you feel that you've gotten it together? Do you feel that you...
Yeah. I don't feel I got it straight together, no, because I never stopped learning. But I feel I'm on a positive path, you know.
How do you feel about the overall condition that our young men are in?
How I feel about the overall condition? I feel it's messed up. You know, I feel all of us need to really examine ourselves. You know, start eliminating some of these negative things that we do. Start establishing the facts and pick our best options. And we'll start a lot of problems.
Now, one might want to ask Jim Brown why he, who had made it big as an athlete and in movies, would want to involve himself with urban youth and their problems.
Well, I've always been concerned about, first of all, the plight of black people. As I said earlier, when you have an organization in the 60s, and then then busing comes, all the liberals run back home, and you think that you're dead because there's nothing going on, there's no spirit at all in black America, and you think the young people are basically foolish, and you see young black men killing young black men under some kind of misconception. You want to do something, but you don't know what you can do because there's no climate for it. But what happened to me is that I heard Public Enemy sing a song, rap a song, and I went to visit Mr. Farrakhan in Chicago, and I was having dinner, and Public Enemy and Big Daddy Kane walked in. And it was like, it was unbelievable, because I thought there would be no young people that would dare visit Louis Farrakhan and take the risk of losing their contracts. So I looked around and shook my head. I said, these young brothers are starting to get conscious again. And that inspired me to become active again. And as I looked around, young brothers were looking back towards their culture. And then it became a young people thing. I knew the old people were finished. All the old leaders were gone. All the ministers were gone. old civil rights pork chop eating stuff was gone. But the young people had a spirit about culture, and they wanted to make change. And then I got to be about 60% of myself. In the 60s, I was 100%. And then it was like I was about 40% of myself. Because without dealing as an activist, there was nothing that I really wanted to do. And now, because of these young people, I'm almost 100% again.
You mentioned 67. You were making movies then.
Yes, I was a big movie star at that time, making a lot of money. And I was able to use those resources to invest in the community and originally finance my organization. Got it off the ground until we got the grant from the Ford Foundation.
What I'm getting at, Jim, is what makes Jim different from a lot of men who have made big money, become movie stars, but just didn't choose the road that you chose. What makes you what you are?
Well, I guess with my desire to be a man. Football don't make you a man, movies don't make you a man, but your self-determination, your freedom. I came up when there wasn't freedom. I came up through the 50s, and I played ball when integration first took place in sports. And I resented the fact that I was a first-class athlete and a second-class citizen. I could never rest being a gladiator or a buffoon or a court jester. So most of our entertainers are buffoons, court jesters, and most of our athletes are gladiators. We entertain people who control us.
So you made a big jump now from the economic development programs that you were involved in the 60s, and you made a big jump into hearing some rappers that couldn't have been more than 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, that's exactly right.
What happened in the intervening years? You were searching for different kinds of options, or you just went to sleep, as you say, you went down to 40%?
I had no true desire, because my desire from the time I can remember was to bring change as far as African Americans in this country. I studied black history. I disagree with most of the things that was being taught in the schools. I never accepted what is supposed to be acceptable. Therefore, a lot of the controversy that surrounded me was based on the fact that I did not accept second-class citizenship and did not want to be approved of. So when I was active in the 60s, I was the happiest of my life, because I was saying and doing what I wanted to say and do. And then when the liberals went back home, the movement was over, and people adopted the fact that government would take care of us. I went to sleep. I did some producing of movies. I made movies. I did a lot of different things like that, but they were never satisfying for me.
You didn't feel fulfilled making movies?
Oh, absolutely not. I wanted to break the taboos down, which I did, and play all the roles that they said I couldn't play. Black folks didn't even understand that. I did everything John Wayne did. You know, I had the woman, I robbed the banks, I was the boss, I was the brains, I was a hero. I got the girl, I made love on screen, and I had the superstar women. So, but that wasn't fulfilling to me, because I was still just a court jester to the producers. They could tell me what to do. They control the money. They control me. So I wanted to do something that would free us of that. And I wanted to be my own man. I wanted to be a free man. You know, it's that simple. It's not any deeper than that.
So when you heard, when you met Chuck D and Public Enemy, what came out of that?
First thing, I thought that they had courage. You know, they surprised me. They had courage. They could be in the company of the most controversial black man in the country. And
Farrakhan.
Yes, and he's a man that I truly love. And every time you say that, the Jews cut you off in every direction. They just tear you up. But I happen to love him. I've known him for 20-some years. I know his family, and I would never turn my back on him. And when I saw these young men there, taking the risk, it was just amazing to me. And then I realized that in that particular world of young rappers, there were a lot of young men who had the courage to stand up and do what they wanted to do as long as it was legal.
What about the risk to Jim Brown in embracing Louis Farrakhan?
Well, you see, you use the word embracing. The minister is a friend of mine as my white high school coach. My white high school coach is the greatest man I've ever met. I love him. I don't care what black man in the world say I can't love him. I love him. He can come in this house. Mr. Farrakhan, I love, he can come in this house. So I'm fighting black folks that don't want me to deal with white folks and white folks that don't want me to deal with black folks, because I like to deal with people I respect and love. And I don't speak for them, so what the minister speaks is what he speaks. And I can't be condemned from loving a man because he speaks what some people don't like, because I live in a country of white folks who had me in slavery. So if I can forgive that and function, I surely can be honest and true to a man like Louis Farrakhan.
Having cleared that up, let's move forward. What happened then with your thoughts and what you began to put together having met with these rappers?
Well, they gave me hope, because I knew that there was a spirit there that I could capture.
And therefore, what did you do?
Therefore, I came up with the concept of dealing with young people, trying to give them an opportunity to take their rightful place as leaders, because they basically control the communities. So I formed an organization which would concentrate on gang members and convicts. If I could get into the prisons and deal with convicts, because a lot of our young people are there, get into the community and deal with gang members, and get them to change their lives around, then I felt that everything would change for African Americans in the normal society.
You have this organization now that is called Amer-I-Can, Amer-I-Can.
Yes.
What is that?
Well, first of all, I chose the name because people said black folks would not accept the word American. So I don't like hypocrisy. Black folks love this country. They love McDonald's and run showers, and even if they only have a chance to visit a shower, they like my pool, they like my view, and they don't think they're any less than anybody else, and they think they feel they want all these things. So I took the hypocrisy out of it. I said it's the greatest country in the world. A lot of bad things about it, but we can change them if we come together and change ourselves. And so that's why I chose the name. But under Amer-I-Can, we teach life management skills. And life management skills, literally, I mean, as you hear say, life management skills. That's exactly what it is, how to manage your life skillfully, which means you can be positive and you can grow. Well, our curriculum of life management skills has been researched over 30 years. It's nothing new, it's just the way that it's put together. And the teaching methodology, because we don't believe in strong personalities or role models, and we don't believe in competition when you're teaching something like life management skills. It's for everyone, and it's not about anyone. It's the empowerment of the individual to manage his or her life correctly. And when you talk about the skills, you talk about communication. You talk about problem-solving techniques, decision-making techniques. You talk about attitude, motivation, family relationships, financial stability. So all of these things interrelate to give you the ability to function in whatever situation you're in on the highest level. In other words, we don't train inmates to leave prison. We train inmates to apply these skills on a daily basis to make their lives, even in prison, better.
How can life management skills be realized in a society where there are no job opportunities to realize it?
Are you talking about a prison society?
No, out in the community.
Well, you see, when you draw a conclusion there are no job opportunities, that is incorrect.
I'm just devil's advocate.
Oh, of course, but that's why. But I'm giving you that answer as a part of my answer. I'm not criticizing you. I'm saying it for the camera. In other words, the general public will think, or people think, that there are no opportunities. There are always opportunities if you apply yourself properly. It's understanding how to set goals one step at a time. It's understanding that you can never work too hard for yourself. It's all of these things that we overlook because we're in a society wherein we want things to come easily. Now, in the African American community, if people understood how to manage their lives, the first thing we would do is reinvest in that community. We would build that community up where it would be desirable. We would build black businesses and patronize black businesses. We would let that money circulate. we would tell our kids, take our kids to school, insist on schools, and we'll practice family relationships. We'll take care of our mothers and fathers and our babies and our wives. So nothing is impossible if you as a community understand how to use these skills properly. Now, of course, you have to spread these skills throughout a community, but you must start with the most important element in that community. That's that young African-American male who we have disregarded. And if he becomes positive, it affects the people above him, it affects the kids, it affects the schools, it affects the police, it affects crime, it affects business. He's the one that is so powerful in his negativism until nothing else works.
I had a long talk with some of those young African-American males Jim Brown referred to, as you'll see and hear right after this. Daoud, the young man who you saw me interview in the early part of this program, arranged for me to meet with a group of young men in a playground right next to a housing project where a lot of gang warfare once took place. Now there's a truce.
Daoud,
Huh?
why'd you bring me out here today?
I want you to see the real.
Where are we?
We're in the Jordan Down Projects. We're in Watts. We're in extreme poverty. So this is poverty down here. You know, you got house niggas, you got field niggas. These are field niggas. This is where slaves migrated from the South to. And from here is where gangs all started from, what they proclaim. But from here is where people migrated to Compton, to the house districts. See, these are the projects right here, our ghettos. And, you know, the mindset of illiteracy and, I mean, joblessness. I mean, this is it right here. I mean, broken home families, you know, political corruption, false promises. You know, this is it right here. And
Well, then, you mind if I talk to these men?
oh man, that's your, yeah, it's
Y'all
your
want to
show.
talk to me?
That's your show.
You talk to me? Anybody here got a job?
Nope.
Tried?
Yeah.
What's up? How come?
I quit mine because mine was too far. I ain't had transportation to make it out there.
What were you doing?
I was working as a trash man and doing other kind of job, whatever job they send me on, that's what I got to do. Like, I worked at a gas station a couple of times, trash company a few times, and that was it. Couldn't make it out there.
So what are you doing for money now?
Just struggling. I'm trying to get, I don't know, I'm looking for another job. Keep looking for another job. I'm doing little things with my brother, he a plumber, and he'll give me a little odd dollars here and there. But other than that, no real jobs or nothing.
What's that in your hand?
It's a purple rag.
What does that stand for?
It's a Grape Street. Watch baby low.
The way in which a lot of us have looked at what happened with the riots, as they call it, is that it was started by gangs. Is that so?
Nah.
And that gangs were
know where it
involved in
started?
it? Huh?
Started in, what's that little, that county called?
Simi Valley?
That's where it started, in Simi Valley, young boy. Nah.
Exactly where it started.
It ain't always what it resulted to it as far as what they did to Rodney King, but it's like, it was from the, look at the root. You know, you gotta look at what caused. You know what I'm saying? It was because of the beating, you know. That's where it started.
You mean beyond Rodney King?
Oh, as far as the rioting itself?
Yeah.
Nah.
What was the riot all about then? If the gangs weren't involved
It was the riot was about like, okay, Natasha Hall.
We ain't saying no name.
Oh, yeah, ain't nobody saying gangs wasn't
No,
involved.
we ain't
You
started.
said
I'm
before it
saying
started,
why it kicked off.
No, I'm talking about him.
Who started it? Who threw the first bomb into the first liquor store or something? That's what you talking about? You know, that shouldn't really be too much of an issue, man, with gang members. Not, it was black people in general, man. It's just fired up because of the circumstances, man.
And it
You know what I'm saying?
wasn't only gang members.
You know, it wasn't only gang members. It could have been anybody. It could have been a woman. You know what I'm saying? It started with, you know what I'm saying? Himself.
What about that Natasha thing?
Yeah.
She was wrong, you know what I'm saying? That Korean lady, Korean grocer, she was wrong. You know, it was right there on tape. you know, they had a little fight, but the little girl was leaving, bam, she popped her in the back of the head, you know, and she didn't get, what she get, 5-year probation. And a fine.
That justifies murder.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, right in your eyes, like, it's almost like, to me, it's almost like, now you see what we actually can do to you. I don't even see why you press the issue. Yeah. Let it happen and kick back and relax because we own the system.
Do you think it's wrong for the press to focus on the riot and the gang thing? Is it better to look at the causes of the riot?
The news media hyped it up. I don't know. I don't have full.
They didn't tell the story right?
I just don't have full evaluation on it, so I'll keep my mouth quiet about that.
Don't keep your mouth quiet.
Well, I don't have full evaluation on it.
I want to know, though, what you think about the way in which the news media has covered what's been going on out here.
Oh, it don't matter. You know what I'm saying? All it boiled down to is a riot. Black people were upset. Keep it in there.
Yeah, I feel that's what it is. I feel just keeping the animosity
let them know
going on.
Any kind of way they want to kick it up and just resort to a riot.
I noticed one thing.
Who started it or what?
Everything's supposed to be the gang members. Everything's supposed to be the gang members' fault.
Yeah.
Everything the gang members doing.
Everything.
I mean, but lately, ain't no brothers been killing each other and everything. Crime dropped a lot. What we need all these cops for now? We need more cops because of a gang of individuals. A lot of individuals slowed down the crime rate. What is it? What's really going on? This is the question. It's a big question.
Mainly what you hear on the news now is, you know, the Latinos and stuff, you know, shooting and killing each other. You don't even hear about black people, you know, really no more.
Yeah, you gotta more or less looking at what you got accomplished. Look at what has been accomplished. You know, they made a big step with the gang thing. Ain't never chilled them niggas like I do.
Talk to my man Daoud out there.
Yeah.
Amer-I-Can.
You know what I'm saying?
Man, hooked it up right here.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, you're gonna have a lot of false illusions, images out there that's claiming that they made the progress to bring this together. We all know we know where it started. Right here in Watts. We started it, we finished it, we started this, and we're gonna finish this movement.
Who was it who was responsible for getting the Bloods and the Crips back together? This one right here?
Do it like this one more time.
One man? One man?
Well, you know, he has support. We gonna support him. You know, we
had that support.
You know what I'm saying? We gonna support him.
Man, it's support needed.
You all happy about that truce?
Yeah, we are.
Beautiful, man.
Oh, yeah.
Love it. Don't you know this is spreading even in Las Vegas?
You couldn't go
That's right. That's what I love about it.
You can walk.
It's spreading in America now.
You can play outside now without, you know, moms or pops them be worrying about them. You know, me, I was on the bike. I ain't never rode my bike way over there on Imperial. Never. Till the other day, and that felt all right.
Malcolm X, one of this century's preeminent figures in the human rights struggle. The Like It Is documentary El Haj Malik Shabazz is now being made available by the National Black Archives for $29.95. Send your money order to National Black Archives, P.O. Box 2284, South Burlington, Vermont. Or by phone, the toll-free number is 1-800-843-0048, Master or Visa card only.
But, all right, so you got a truce, and that is good. The blood isn't flowing in the streets like it used to. But is that it? What's next? What do you all think?
You just want me to speak? I feel like this here. If we don't start thinking in corporation, we ain't gonna get nowhere.
What you mean? Starting your own business?
Exactly. Our community, we have to communicate with other communities in order to have a combined community. Everybody's working together. We have to communicate with the Nickerses. Yeah. We have to communicate with the PJs. Yeah. That what keeps Watts together. You know what I'm saying? That's unity, you know? It's whoever thought of community.
What about the stores in this community? Who's running the stores? Huh?
Ain't too many
Ain't too many left out here. You know what I'm saying?
Who's controlling the economy of this community?
Mostly, I'm gonna tell you,
Outsiders or insiders?
Outsiders, Orientals.
Outside. See, man, you put it right on, you put it out good.
You think these outsiders that come here and set up businesses, do you think they respect us?
Because do nothing but respect us.
Do you think they respect black people in this community?
They don't. I know they don't respect us, but they regardless.
Oh, yeah, they like
They do it
really
first. You know, when an immigrant first come over here from their country or whatever, they respect us at first until they're able to get on their feet. Like Koreatown wasn't built over here unless with the dollars. Koreatown was built from the dollars that they built out of our communities. Now you go over there, you don't see no black businesses, no nothing in Koreatown, but you got to see all kind of Korean stores and shops in our community. Right. They just use our community like a big, like a mother nursing a baby, you know what I'm saying? Feeds that baby from a breast until that baby is able to stand on his own 2 feet, you know? And that's how the immigrants see our community. They come, use our community, and make money out of our community, build their own community relations back in their neighborhood, and then, you know, they don't put nothing back in our community for the little kids or nothing like that, you know. So when they get to the point where they can do what they want to do and is financially secure, then they start with the, you know, harassment and insults and disrespect and all that. And that was a big problem with the LaTosha Harlan's case and with a few other cases similar to that where brothers was killed in Korean store. One brother was killed in a Korean store before LaTosha Harlan because, according to the Korean grocer, the man threatened to rob his shop. And that was justification for that man shooting that brother. You know what I'm saying?
Well, this is happening all around the country in black communities. The question is, why does the black community patronize these outside businesses if they're acting that way?
Man, most of the Orientals got most of the things sold up, man.
Well, how did that?
A lot of these businesses sold up.
If you go in an Italian neighborhood, the stores are run by Italians. If you go in any other community, the people who live there run the businesses. Why is it not happening here?
Well, one reason, I mean, it's not a lack of economics from a black person's point of view. They give Korean small business loans the minute they get out here. But when it comes to us, we got to fill out papers, we got to have a track record, we got to have this and that, and it's kind of very difficult for us to get things like that. And some of the black owners around here that got stores, I mean, they ain't got the necessities that the people need. They only sell what? Liquor and cigarettes and top ramen. That's what they make their money from. And see, the Korean store, they got the meat, they got the vegetables, they got the fruit, they got everything, the pampers, everything that the black people need. While these undeveloped black stores don't have the things that the black people need, but things like liquor and cigarettes.
And another thing on that is that the way this system is set up, black people spend the most money with every other ethnic group around here. We circulate the most money in this nation, you know what I'm saying? And for us to create an economic base for ourselves and recycle them dollars between us, man, we'd have so much power, man, it's unbelievable. And power is money, man. They don't want to see us with that kind of power, you know what I mean? I mean, just what Dawood said, man. They're not giving us no loans or nothing like that, man. When a black man try and get a loan, they take you through different channels, and where to, as a Korean, come in and you know, from another country and come in and get one like that, you know what I'm saying? But I've been living here all my life, and I can't get none. You know what I'm saying? It ain't that brothers ain't trying to do nothing, but it's the system, man. They take you through so many channels, man, that frustrate a brother or another person, you know what I'm saying, from trying to get a loan, and then, you know, you just say the hell with it, man.
But, you know, some of the Korean merchants say that they help each other. They don't go to American banks. They have their own credit system, and the Korean merchants that are here chip in and help a new Korean when he comes in to set up a shop.
You know what? If they would cut all the racial bias and everything and give us them same opportunities, we would have our own bank.
That's right.
And we could help our own people. That's what this thing is all about, man. Letting us create our own economic base so we could do. We don't want them to do nothing for us, man, even though they owe us. You know what I'm saying? from my great-great-great-granddaddy who was bonded in slavery. His great-granddaddy was the same way. Everybody, forefathers here was helped build this country, man. You know what I'm saying? We ain't got no land. We ain't got no economic base where we can do for ourselves. They don't want to see us with that type of power, man. They do not want to see it, man. That something as small as this truce, man, you wouldn't believe all the negativity that they interjected. And when it first started, man, they was talking about we was getting together to go against the police. Man, we getting together because we tired of seeing babies die. We have to live here together, man. We have to live here together. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't believe all the negative stuff that came out of this positive thing, man. And it's positive because brothers is coming together now. They ain't seeing each other for the color of no rags or from where they live, man. It's a real thing, man. We living in peace and harmony, but everything that didn't happen negative so far has been injected by some outside source, whether it be the police, FBI, or whoever, man. They don't want to see us come together and live in harmony, man. But I got kids, man, and I want them to have a better tomorrow, man. I want them to have to be ducking behind no cars the way I did.
This conversation went on for a good while longer, and in our next edition, you'll see and hear what else these young men had to say. Also, my interviews with experts who've been studying urban pathology, as well as what went on at Jim Brown's house at a meeting of gang members and some of Los Angeles' movers and shakers. All of that next week. For a transcript of this program, send $4 to Journal Graphics, 1535 Grant Street, Denver, Colorado, 80203. To place a credit card order, call 1-800-TALK-SHOW.
Elizabeth Machado said, "Goodbye, acne."
Thank you, Dr. Zismore.